What's up, everybody? Chris here from Bold Canyon Outdoors, and today we're going to be installing a brand new set of steel tube fenders from American Modified Off-Road onto Connor's Jeep, which is the silver 2007 JK. So he's pulling it over right now, parking it where we need to get started. The sun's coming up, it's nice and cool out, so let's get the camera turned around and I'll show you what we're working with. Here's Connor's 2007 JK, and as you can see, we've laid the fenders out at the corresponding corners. So what we've got is we've got 4 of the steel American Modified Off-Road tube fenders. Comes with instructions, hardware, basically everything you need. The reason why we're replacing them is because these fenders don't really hold up well to off-road use. As you can see, just from mild use, this one's already coming loose. They can actually, rub up against stuff and fall right off. Now, you may see people take these off just by yanking them off, but we're not going to do that because the clips that hold them on can bend the body, and also because it's got an inner fender well in there, and the inner fender well is actually connected to the outer fender. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove these rivets here. Now, these are kind of a plastic pop rivet. Take a little tool and pop these out. So we're going to disconnect this, then we're going to come around and we're going to start taking out these little clips down here. You can kind of see in there. And then we'll take off the front fender. If you're having a problem pushing the pop rivet all the way through, sometimes it's easier just to take a body clip tool and work these pop rivets right out. We're not going to be using them again, so it doesn't matter if they get destroyed. Once you've got the inner fender well loose, we can move around and gently pull out the body clips. As you can see, these little plastic clips don't really hold the fender on very well. So we're actually going to pull these out and we're going to reattach the new fender to the same location. Now, the inner fender well comes all the way out to the factory fender here. We're going to cut it and we're going to reuse the inner part. We're also going to take off this hard plastic section up top. Next, we'll take off these 10mm bolts that hold on the hard plastic part. Remove and unplug the marker light. With the hard upper support removed from here, we can trim the inner fender liner back here to make it fit up flush to the edge. Remember those 10mm bolts we pulled out? We're going to get some big washers and we're going to reattach them on here so they're going to hold the inner fender liner in place. With an approximate kind of rough trim of the fender with some snips, now we can reach back and we can take off all the old retainers. So you just reach behind it, squeeze it, and it'll pop right out. Like I said, a lot of people just go and tear this thing off, but I don't want to bend all these holes up and make it hard to install anything else. With all the retainer clips out, we can give it a quick test fit. The new fender gently in place, you can see that we've got all kinds of holes that line up, and of course it rests on this bracket here, so it'll be nice and stable once we get it all attached. Now I'll pull it back off and get some hardware ready. With the fender set in place, start locating the holes where the screws go through. So you're going to use this Allen head screw with a nut on the back. Now, some of these are a little tricky to get to, so just take your time and work your way around. Some of the holes may look like they're not lined up perfectly, but as you put them in, you can shift the fender around and get them in place. Once you've located and attached all of the hex bolts and flange nuts, and you go back through with the supplied Allen key and a 13mm or 1/2" wrench and get them tightened down. Some spots can be a little bit tricky to get your hands in there, so just take your time and it's nice and easy. And here we have the finished product. So this is the American Modified Off-Road Steel Tube Fender installed in the front of a 2007 JK. Great fit and finish, all the holes lined up perfectly, got a nice knurled black finish on it. Very stout, very tough, definitely an improvement over stock. So get all those old parts out and put on some new American Modified Off-Road Steel Tube Fenders. With the front fenders on, we're going to secure the inner fender well, and then it's time to move on to the back fenders. For the rear fenders, start by removing all of the little press-in clips that connect the fender to the fender liner. To remove the rear fenders, it's very similar to the front. There's just a snap-on clip that holds it all the way around. Now, to get this off, you're going to give it a gentle pop. You don't want to yank it off and bend body panels or anything like that, but just give it a pop. It'll pop right off. To remove the inner fender liner, it's got a couple of pop-in clips here. So we're going to pop those out with the tool and get this out. Once those two are out, you can kind of yank out the rear fender liner and you're good to go. Hopefully it'll work. So inside here is painted with the factory paint. So we're going to get that all cleaned up because we're not going to have an inner fender liner for right now. So now we'll get these clips taken out and we'll get started installing the rear fender. Next up, you need to enlarge the holes right here and right here per the instructions so you can insert a nutsert. So we're going to press these guys in here. Might have to go a little bit bigger on this hole. And then when we tighten it down, it's going to flare up kind of like a rivet and hold it nice and tight. The reason we do that is because you can't get to the back right here. It's actually completely sealed up. So we're going to get these nutserts installed, and then we're going to put the fender on. So you're going to have 3 on this side, 3 on this side, and then these top 2 holes are going to have a standard Allen bolt and flange nut behind it, just like the front ones. With all of the nut inserts installed, we are ready to install the rear fender. All right, that's the last one being finished up right now. So we got rid of the old ones and installed the new ones. So there they are, fully installed, the American Modified Off-Road Steel Tube Fenders for the 2007 to 2018 Jeep Wrangler. They do fit the 2-door and the 4-door, all of the JK series. Overall, this was about a 2.5 hour install, but that also includes filming, so it can be done a little bit quicker. It's a simple install, great fit and finish, and I'm going to put some links down below where you can get a hold of the AMOFFROAD Steel Tube Fenders for your JK. So thanks for tuning in with us today. For Bold Canyon Outdoors, this is Chris and Connor signing off. Happy trails.